So you want to retire, or do you? We're going to cover the 4 reasons why it might make sense to retire early, give you some things to think about as you're embarking on this journey, and really talk about some of the pitfalls along the way that you need to consider if you are planning on retiring early. Hi, my name is Jim Martin. I'm a financial advisor with Martin Wealth Solutions, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch our video today. I get this question all the time. Should I retire early? Jim, when can I retire? What does my retirement look like? And does it make sense for me to do it? So we're going to talk about the 4 reasons why it might make sense to retire early. The number one reason is time. The fact is, time is one of these non-renewable resources. We're all only granted 24 hours in a day and however long we're on this earth. If time were for sale, it would be the most expensive resource on the planet. The fact is, the longer we work, the less time we have to follow our hobbies, to spend time with family, to travel, to do the things that might be very important to you. So time is one of these things that we just don't get back. And oftentimes as we get older, let's face it, we only have so much of it left in our lives. Our runway gets shorter the older we get. So I encourage people to think about where you're at relative on your retirement journey. Are you financially independent at this point, and could you retire? Look, there's a lot of folks that can retire earlier than they ever planned to, but because they haven't done the proper planning or the proper steps to ensure that they have enough money to get to and through retirement, they just don't know, and they end up working longer than they needed to. So the number one thing on the list is time. I think the reality is that if people could trade money for time, they would do it. They would absolutely do it. Every day you spend working is one less day that you do not get to wake up whenever you want to, travel wherever you decide to, or spend time with your family. So think about that as the number one reason. How much time can you get back in your life by not waking up and going to work? And as you consider how much time you have, think about retirement in 3 stages. When you're younger, we call those the GoGo years, and that might be anywhere from 50 to, let's say, 75 years old. You're very active, you like to travel, you have your health, your family's still young. There's lots of things for you to do at that point. And as you get older, you'll move into the slow go stage of retirement where traveling, it's not as important to you any longer. And if you have family members or friends who are in their 80s, they're generally going to be in the slow go period. You still have lots of life ahead of you and life is good, but you're not traveling. Your grandkids have grown up. Life has just changed under your feet. So the idea of spending lots of money in that period of time, well, it's just not as appealing as it once was. So the idea of getting time back, we want more of the go-go years of retirement. And then finally, the last stage of retirement is what we call our no-go years. And that's probably a bad way to call it, but it kind of rhymes, right? So we talk about this, the go-go, the slow go, and then you get to your no-go years. And if you know somebody in their 90s or late 80s, they're generally going to be in their no-go years. And I would bet if you ask them about time, they would trade a significant amount of their resources to be able to go back in time and get back to those go-go years. So think about that as it relates to your retirement. Are you in the go-go years, but working because you don't have the financial confidence to transition from working to retirement? Take advantage of those go-go years. Number 2 on our list is the health impact of working. Working is not inherently bad for you, but your job might be stressful. You might be able to have a better life or a better quality of life being retired as opposed to working. You might work in a factory or something on your feet, and you have to take into consideration the health impact of working. Is it better for you to be in a situation where you're in a low stress environment? And I would also encourage you to think about the fact that as we get older, we generally don't get healthier. So if you're in this situation where you're healthy and you have time on your side, it might make sense to retire early while you have your health and you have time so you can really enjoy your retirement. The third item on our list is work actually might be optional. I've been a financial advisor through 2 decades, and I've sat down with a number of people who thought they would have to work until they were 70 years old, 75. And when we sat down and ran the math, they were actually able to retire earlier. And in fact, they were in a much better position than they ever planned for. And it's hard to know the position you're in if you've never run the math. So I would encourage you to collect your financial information and do a deep dive into this. So don't discount the fact that you might actually be working because you want to at this point, not because you have to. Now, that's okay if you're working and you love what you're doing. In fact, I love the conceptual idea of work being optional. I think that people, when they get to the point where work is optional, actually enjoy their work more than those who they have to be at work because they have to pay their bills. It just kind of gives you that sense of independence. You become financially independent. But it's difficult to know that without following the last item on our list, planning well so you can retire happy. And the reason we talk about having a financial plan and the reason it might make sense to retire early is if you have a financial plan and it's mathematically tested this out, then you will have the confidence to be able to transition and retire early. Oftentimes, the reason people end up working longer than they had to is because they never took the time to complete a financial plan. Having a financial plan will give you the confidence. Now, it should take into consideration many elements, and we like to focus on three elements at my practice, and hopefully this will help you as well. We like to make sure that you have an income plan. An income plan will ensure that you have a plan to not run out of money in retirement. That's a big concern for most people, making sure they have saved enough resources to last to and through retirement without having to live under the bridge and eat cat food. That is not a desirable outcome for most of my clients. Now, there's two other areas of financial planning that you need to make sure you have buttoned up before you retire as well. Now, you're also going to need a tax plan. As part of your comprehensive financial plan, focus on your tax plan. Look, nobody I've met with likes to give extra money, a tip to Uncle Sam. So making sure your money's in the right accounts, in the right locations, that you have a plan for tax efficient withdrawal strategies, that is mission critical as you're embarking on this decision to potentially retire early. And then the other consideration when you're building a financial plan is to make sure you have an investment plan. Now, an investment plan comes last. Actually, a lot of people do your investments first, but I like to tell people if you were going to build a house today, you would not go to Lowe's or Home Depot and just start buying lumber. You would actually build a blueprint first. So that's what we're talking about here. The investments come last. And the reason they come last is we don't know how to invest the money necessarily without understanding how much income are we going to need? Where are our income sources? What are our tax situations look like? Once we've figured that out, then we can plan for the investments. And we want to make sure that we have a diversified income plan with low cost investments, globally diversified. Now, obviously, there's other elements of financial planning at play here. We need to make sure we have a healthcare plan. We need to make sure we have a legacy plan. All of this will be inside a comprehensive financial plan. But if you can focus on those four things, you might be able to retire early. And retiring early is better than retiring late. Even if you're not ready mentally to retire, at least you can be in a situation where you will know when you can and if you're able to now to be financially independent. Hey, if you like this video, please do me a favor, click that little thumbs up there so we can let other people know. That helps us out a lot. And also subscribe. Our goal is to get one new video out per week. As always, plan well and retire happy.